So I'm Martin Kleppe. You can follow me at MK. It's pronounced MK because it's like Martin and Kleppe. So follow me on Twitter. As you said, I'm the organizer of Hamburg JS, the user group in Hamburg. And I saw pretty a lot of people from Hamburg over here. Yeah. Can you say hi? Who's from Hamburg? Yeah, OK. Great. I also have running my own company with some friends, and now we are like almost 20 people. And we're doing a lot of Google Maps-related stuff all the time. So we are the enterprise partner for the Google Maps API. So if big clients come to Google and ask for something, they send us over to us, and we're doing this. And usually we have to deal with this. I'm sorry for the guys in the back if you can't read this. This is just a tiny snippet. So I think this is jQuery. So in the end, if you use this and Google Maps API and V3 and Backbone and whatever, you can't read it anymore. So this is somehow the real world. So this is what we deal during the daytime. We have to bloat libraries. And today, I would like to take you to the dark side. So you're going to expect some crazy hacks over here. And I have to warn you. So from now on, 140 slides are left. I hope to make it in time. And if you are afraid of global leaks, better leave this room to the other track. And yeah. So let's have a look at the really atomic parts, or as I call it, the atomic parts. And let's see what you can do with only 6 different characters. So I created something. You might have seen this on the Mike REST session yesterday. It was also featured on Hacker News. Someone posted it. It wasn't me, and it got number 2 on Friday, before the USB condoms, which made me happy. And yeah, I got some good comments on this. But before we go here, I want to show you these characters. Who's familiar with this? Who knows what it is? Brainfuck, yeah, right. For me, it's somehow like this beer. But actually, it's a language where you have like 8 different characters, and you can use these characters to write, for example, this hello world example. Pretty brainfucking. And yeah, the definition is, or not the definition, but this is from Wikipedia. It's a language that is designed to challenge and amuse programmers, but it was not made for practical use. And I'm going to talk about this more later, but I also came across a forum called slackers.org, and they were discussing, well, they always discuss crazy stuff, and they thought, okay, how many characters do we really need to write any kind of JavaScript? So I read this. I fixed some of the main problems because they use an older version of Firefox where they provide some hacks and create JSFuck. I come later to this. But to get you the idea how this is done, we start with a really simple example. So these are actually like 3 different characters, the plus sign and square brackets. If you do this, you get out null, because it's the unary plus operator, and if you add this to something, it converts it into a number. If you do this, you get 1. If you add 1 and 1, you get 2. If you say not an empty array, you get false. If you say not, so it's a double negation, it's true. If you try to access an empty string of an empty array, you get undefined. So this is the really basic parts. But what's fun is if you add an empty array again, then you convert these values into strings. And then it's getting funny. Because what you can do, you can get the first character of false by accessing the. You can, for example, get the I out of this, the L, the T, the E, the R. And you see, I filter. So if you have this on an array, you have a method you can execute. So you can pass some arguments. I don't know what you do with this, but it's getting even cooler if you do this. because then you have the function prototype, or the function itself, and you can pass any code into there that will be evaluated. And you can do stuff like this. So you can pass a string alert1, and if you really write this down, this is the alert1. I set up JSFuck where you can paste stuff in there. You hit the eval source to not get out strings, but to really run this program. And you can really take this string, paste it into the console. There's no interpreter needed or something. It just runs. Yeah. So this example is quite simple from implementation, but it's getting more complicated if you try to access special, or not special characters, but characters that are rare somewhere. So V is if you take a number and say toString with a high number, you get this out. The final result is now 2,400 characters long. If you try to get these characters, you can call link on a string, which returns in like an HTML tag, and you access the first character. It's 4,000. What we've seen before is you can pass code, and if you return this, you get access to the global scope. And on a global scope, you can call escape to, for example, escape the other characters to get this one. And the most complicated thing to get out is the capital C. So if you have to convert this, it's 18,000 characters long. Yeah. OK, and if you have this, the C, then you can call from jar code, and then you pass any number. And this is like the final thing, but what you need to pass. You can then take any string and pass it over there. So if you want to try this out, visit jsfuck.com and play around. It's quite slow if you paste jQuery or something, because it it might blow your memory. OK, next step. We scale up in this talk. So we start with 6 characters. Now we're going up some more. And back in the days, back to JSConf 2011, where Jet was introducing 140 bytes. This is how I somehow get involved into this. It was really crazy. I did the base first 64 encoder over there and some other crazy stuff. It was also the same year when Chris Williams released the JS community logo. And what I did after the conference is creating this. Looks strange, but if you see the code, so this is the code to render this logo. And yeah, I just want to explain you how all this stuff works now. So this is the template. You have a function. You have to write valid JavaScript for 140 bytes. And so for example, you don't have to leak the global space. And yeah, so actually you only have 128 characters left. And if you want to pass something and return this, there's only 119 characters left. So what I did, base 64 encoder was my first thing. It's now down to 110 bytes by the Slackers forum. The JS logo, we saw a thing to rotate stuff. You will see later why I show this. Game of Life, Rubik's Cube solver, and really some more stuff. And the final, or the craziest thing, in my opinion, was the Tetris game, or the logic for the Tetris game. So I have to fix this. So I tried to find a game that is obvious and try to pack this into 140 characters, or the logic itself. And you see how this looks like in a second. It's like that. So you can move blocks, or the blocks move around. You have 2 different blocks. You have the double one and later the single one. You can stack them up. It's collision detection. And if you have a full row, it clears it up, as you see in a second. So that's the game. The controls are outside, but the logic itself for the full game is in there. So this is the code. Yeah, thanks. I'm going to run through this quickly, and This is to create new blocks. So it takes a date, which is in milliseconds, and if you use some binary stuff, then you get 2 different blocks out of it. This is to check the collisions for the button lines or different blocks. This is to remove filled lines, so it converts it into something on base 32 and replace the V with the final stuff. And you see a lot of like bit shifting and binary operators in here. And I gave a talk on this, but it wasn't that obvious what it did behind the scene, so I tried to make this simple now. So this is the board we want to have. The idea was to represent this as a binary string, and like in the back, it's just numbers. So this, for example, is 192. If you want to move this down, we shift it by 5, get 6. If you want to move it left or right, it's only shifting by 1. If you want to do a collision detection, for example, if there are 2 different blocks, we use the bitwise AND and see if the value is bigger than 0, so we have a collision. Okay, that's for now. Next step, JS1K. This was, so the first one was in 2010, huh? Yeah. It's pretty amazing what you can do. Visit the website, you did it? Yeah, so there's Peter Fantasy over here, ask him. It's a really crazy contest. And you also have a kind of template to use. So the template is some HTML, you have a canvas, a script tag. There are already like some shortcuts to the document body, to the canvas itself, and the place where you can put your script. And the script itself should be like 1024 characters, or bytes actually. So don't play around with Unicode or crazy UTF-8 stuff. Yeah. So I thought, okay, so actually this was when I came in. I have read something about how to reduce for loops, and I did something, a small poker game where you play against a computer, and I thought, this is quite cool, until I really saw the winner of this. So this is the first winner, and in my opinion, it was still the best thing that came out. It's done by Martin Haverbeek. He gave a talk 2 years ago, maybe, and this was pretty amazing. So we have a thing moving around, you can collect coins, you have enemies, you have these purple things that slide down. Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. So the code is quite short. I haven't had the code. But anyway, I'm going to show you some tricks he did here. So when playing around with Canvas, you see, okay, I have really long method names. And he did a really short thing where he looped over all properties, which includes the method, and take the first and the 7 characters and create a shortcut for the original method. So instead of saying translate or create linear gradient, you just can access TA and CL later on. There's still the A dot in front, so if you repeat this, you can even replace it with A and just call the methods. Pretty nice stuff. And this was the first time I saw, okay, there are some rules, but they can be breaking. So this is the moment when you have a layout, but you can like extend this layout or even break it. So this is what I'm going to talk about next. There was a talk by Angus Squall last year, my favorite talk last year, and he was talking about some topics of this, and I'm going to show you what people do without a layout. So someone created Ron. So this is now a HTML. This is the final game. So you can use your keyboard controllers. You have a canvas where it's rendering, and it does the collision detection. It's pretty cool. You see the body and the canvas. This is the code. It's called onload without any quotes around there. And he also did some crazy stuff. It's the ID equals B, and then if you do this, you have access in the global space and can say B dot inner HTML without calling document get element by ID. Yeah, and you have the canvas here, and you can start drawing things. Okay, quite nice. Next thing, this is pretty cool. It has sound, crazy sound in there. It's done by Matthew Henry, aka PO1. He's also quite good, or maybe the best demosing golfer out there. And when you look at the source, you see this. So it's still 1024 bytes. And if you really look close, so this gets loaded into the browser, but the browser ignores all the stuff at the beginning and start with the first HTML tag. So this is the first tag to start. And you see there's an image source pointing to hash, which is actually the same document. And if you look close, this is a PNG. So he reused PNG, put the code in there. It's just like a random or it's like noise you see there, but it's actually using the compression from the PNG to get this code down. And to decode this, it's only this line. So it draws it into the canvas, analyzes it, and then you have the final code, and this is what it looks like. So, and this runs all the stuff in the back, and this is even crazier, but we don't have time to cover that. Okay, you can use PNG, but you can also do it by JavaScript itself, compression. So RVL Pass created JSConf. It was in the top list of one of the latest JS1K entries. This is if you extract this, it looks like that. And if you look close, the original code has a lot of like repeating stuff. Document get element is here like 8 times or something like that. And he uses the script to analyze the code and pick out repeating elements and replace them by, it's now an @ but it's like invisible characters that are usually not used in the code. And here, for example, you see this, it's now there only once. And the code to extract this is pretty short, it's only 60 characters, and you can get down the file size by about 25%. Quite cool. Oh, I'm so fast. Okay, relax. So that's it. Thank you. No, okay. I have one more thing to show you. I've prepared something for JSConf, because there's this special field when you submit your talks. Okay, it would be nice to show something new. And I decided, okay, do something new. So this is what I call the Hello World 1K example. So I try to do this in the reverse order. So start with the idea and then show you step by step how to do it. So I came across this. It's Kleppe. It's it's a client done by Yusuke Endo. It's a Ruby code that you can put into your terminal, execute, and it returns you a new code that it's slightly rotated with the Kleppe. Quite nice, really impressive, but it had 2 problems. So it was far too big, and it was in Ruby. So there were 2 options. I could read the source and golf it down, or I could do a rewrite of this. So I don't know how he did it. I just get the idea of what I want to do. And I did a rewrite on this. Okay, let's do it together. Start with the layout. So this is the idea. It should somehow look nice, but with ASCII art, rotating ASCII art in it. We need some space in our code to draw the globe. So I decided to use, how is comments called?
Multi-line comments.
Multi-line comments, yeah, but in a single line, right? And so this is the place where the final output will be rendered. And I used eval and put in a string because we later have to access the code, the code itself and render it into the browser. So that's what I did. You see some problems here. And the biggest problem is, okay, these are new lines. So we have to deal with this. You can't do it because you won't close the string and the code will be broken. And what you can do is to simply close this on every line at a plus, start at the next beginning, and do it again. But this is way too heavy for our example. And there's a little trick. Some people don't know about this, but you can use the backslash to repeat on the next line without doing it again. Yeah, that's it. And Later, we need to access the script, so I use the z variable, and I call a set timeout without a number. You can do this, so just execute on the next level. If you use set interval, it will break because the code is so intense that it really messes up. So this is the way to go. And yeah, that's basically it, but we need a map in there. So I took a picture or a screenshot of Google Maps, which are quite familiar to me, and I would use this down to that. You still get an idea of the continent. And if you count this, you see, okay, these are 3,200 characters or bytes or whatever. And we need to get this down. So the idea, what's the next slide? Okay, instead of saying yes, yes, no, 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 yes, 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 and whatever, we can say, okay, how many times does this repeat? So now we have like 4 times a blank, 6 times something, then 5 times a blank, then 1 dot, and so on. And you can remove all the like duplicating stuff, have this, and if you reduce this to an array, you have 192 characters, quite nice. You have to use the commas because it needs to be an array. Or actually, we don't, because we can write this as numbers, and this is now 104 characters. And we can even get this down. Has anyone an idea how to further shrink it? Binary? No, it was binary before, so. Oh. Oh, so hex is quite good, but we can use the toString and base 36 and get like a string out of it. So this is now 60 characters. Quite good. It only has a problem because we need to put quotes around this and a comma, and then we are up like where we've been before. And if you have to put this into an array, there need to be these square brackets. But we can actually use the original or a string and use a pipe and later split it by this pipe. Still too big. Jet knows how to reduce. Split 0, but we have a 0 in there. Oh no, we don't. But I choose a 4. So if you use a 4, you can skip the quotes. 85. Okay. So this is the Earth and 85 characters. To extract this, you need some extra code. But it's okay because it already has this it already puts all the stuff into an array. Okay, next level, 3rd dimension. How to do it. Yeah, this is what we had before, but we want to have something like that. Yeah. I did this before, so I was lucky. I wrote some code. And in the end, it's not that hard, because it's just math, sinus, cosinus, and not a lot of things to do. You can see here, I pass a lot of arguments and return a lot of stuff. That's because of the rules Jet defined. We don't need those rules anymore, so we can just break this down to 82 characters, where you see, okay, we have width, mass, and then sinus p, sinus, that's it. Okay. HTML. I decided not only to do the JavaScript side, but also doing the HTML around. We have script tags. We place something. This is a reduced version, just to give you an impression. And there were 2 issues here when I started with that, because there's no body. If you just put this in, you have no access to a body, because the browser doesn't know if it's in the head or in the body, so it decided it's in the head, and the body will follow below. So there's an easy way to fix it. We can just add a dot in front of it. So now we have a body. There's another issue. You can spot this? Okay, so the problem is the pre-tag here. The pre-tag is used to just render this as a monospaced font. So instead of saying font CSS stuff is monospace, I use the pre-font. And if you do this, it will also break because it's a tag inside of a script tag. So the browser will say, okay, I'm missing something. Easy fix, add something in between, and it's get ignored. Okay, this is a hard part. I thought about, so this is the final thing that came out. I tried to explain it to my colleagues and they didn't get it. So I tried to reduce this because what we want to do is we want to have a modified version of that into the container, and we have eval in front of it, which is not included in the string. So we have to place this in there again to have this. So this is the inception we have to do. Actually, there's some more magic going on later because we need to escape a lot of characters, and this wastes a lot of space. But I didn't find a solution to do this other way around. Okay, are you ready for the final countdown? Maybe we can count together from 3 down to 2, just to make it more noise. So let's start. 3, 2, 1, and go. Oops, sorry. So here we are. This is the final thing. Okay, this is, I prepared the slide I used animated GIF to put this in there. You can run this in the browser, but the browser will render black font on the white background. And for those who really read the code, you see, okay, there's a font color, but this is yellow and black. So the real code looks like this, and it has syntax highlighting, and the rotating word in black. I'm not quite sure you see this. It's blue for the words and purple for the other characters. Yeah, and that's it. That's the final code. I put this on GitHub. There was an issue because they always add a line break at the end. So, but anyway, okay, that's it. It wasn't released before. Have a look at this. Don't try it on, or you can try it on a mobile phone, but it's pretty slow. Better watch this in the browser. It's more smooth. Yeah. Okay, that's almost the end. How many minutes do I have? I'm over time, or go on? Okay, just the why. This is usually what people ask me. Some people make guesses. For example, I have too much free time, which is not true, and it's getting better because I'm just getting married right now. So. But actually, it's a fun thing, and in my opinion, you really learn a lot about the language itself. So you really get the last 10% out of it, and see what's behind and what you haven't known before. For example, the font color, if you don't pass anything, it gets blue. If you're adding a falsy value, it gets purple, and if you add a string, it gets something else. But it isn't in the spec. Well, I didn't read the spec, but it's strange to figure this out. Okay, but the other thing is that it helps you to organize your code. Actually, it doesn't look like this, but if you have to write this, you have to be really good structure in there. And most important, you focus on the things that you need. So if you have something in mind, you throw away all the stuff that's not necessary, and you start with a small thing and maybe extend this as soon as you have space for it. And yeah, this is something that I also try to get back to my work. And if someone wants to include a jQuery thing for a mobile website and we only need this to get something, I said, okay, paste this in the head and maybe we can save some bytes. And I also did a small library. It's called Fishbone.js. Oh, what's going on there? It's not my slide, huh? The colors. So Fishbone.js. Fishbone is like backbone, but reduced, as you guess. So this is 350 bytes gzipped. It runs in the browser and in Node, so you can use require. You have a model that you can instantiate. You can add an init method in here. It has it has event handlers in there with automatic. So the last thing is the automatic method binding, so you don't have to return this all the time. It does it for you, and it always keeps the scope. So whenever you use an event, for example, you always have this as the right context. Yes, that's it for now, and thank you very much. Just, I put this up somewhere. These are the links I showed ordered in the right byte size. If you want to see my website, it's m1k.com, and if you want to follow me, mk. That's it. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Martin.